Good evening and welcome to the first of two Beyond the Front Page programs tonight for the spring 28 semester here at CUE Community College. These are shows that are broadcast on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. This Friday, April 13th, the Auburn Chamber Orchestra will be holding its Auburn Pops concert here at the college at 7:30 in the Irene Bisgrove Theater. Joining us in the studio to talk about the concert and also the Auburn Chamber Orchestra overall are its conductor, Steve FRANKENPHOL. Did I say it correctly?
Okay.
And as well as Joe SALZONE, who is a board member and used to work here in Auburn on one of the radio stations. So welcome.
Good to see you.
Welcome to the show. So for those who don't know, what is the Auburn Chamber Orchestra?
The Auburn Chamber Orchestra is really a community orchestra. It's made up of players from Auburn and some Onondaga County, some Seneca County, mostly adults, but we have a lot of students as well, particularly in the string section, and we count on them to fill out the string section.
And is that why you said the name was deceiving? You said it in an email.
Well, right, yeah. It's a chamber orchestra really is a thing. It's generally smaller. There's specific music written for that. Very fewer wind players than we have. So what we have really is a full orchestra. And not many people would know the difference, but if they're looking for a small orchestra, it's not going to be it.
So how long have you been around?
The orchestra started, I think, in 1986, so 32 years now.
Okay, and you're a board member. How large is your board?
I joined the board in 2013 and left a couple years after that, since I moved out of state. When I came back, I rejoined last summer.
So a not-for-profit board?
Correct.
How large is the board?
Board right now is probably the largest it's been in quite a few years. We've got about 10 to 12 people on the board, some of whom are actually in the orchestra.
So I was going to say, I've known you for many years. I did not know if you played an
instrument.
I
do not play an instrument.
And I was wondering, so you can be on the board and not play an instrument?
Yes.
Okay. What type of music do you play?
It's different for different concerts. Generally, the first concert is more classical music. Our middle concert is always a Christmas concert. We have that at St. Francis. It's a great venue for it. The last concert, the fourth of our season, has always been a pop concert of some sort. Sometimes it's themed. We have Broadway music or film music. This one happens to be kind of a wide open, just pops.
And we'll talk about what's on the playbill. How often do you hold the concerts?
We have 4 a year.
Okay. Yeah. And so how long have you been the conductor?
This is my 7th season, so I started in 2011, I think.
Do you conduct other groups?
No, not orchestras. I teach a class at Oasis, a small string ensemble there. Oasis is an adult learning program. It's over in East Syracuse.
And is that your full-time job?
I'm happily retired from West
Okay.
Genesee schools.
So I want to go back to who your musicians are because I went to the website and looked at some pictures and I knew several of them.
Yeah.
So your musicians come locally?
For the most part, locally. There are several music teachers, retired music teachers, current music teachers, but a lot of them are they have very different jobs.
And they're volunteering. They're not paid. These
absolutely
are not paid
volunteer.
music.
Yeah.
And is there an age requirement?
Nope.
For the group?
No. We'll take qualified kids or adults. Everybody has to audition to get in.
So you do have to audition.
And there has to be a need for it, especially in the wind sections. There's generally one person on a part. So unless somebody is missing, we don't need to fill that.
So how many pieces do you usually have in your orchestra?
When we're doing well, we may have 45 players.
45. So so on this Friday, how would you?
It's a little smaller. We may be 38. I have to go count.
But
the
still
chairs,
large.
So, yeah.
So you're doing it here. It is here at the college.
It is, in fact. Yeah.
So it's an easy walk for you today if you're doing rehearsal.
Yes, that's right. We do have a rehearsal tonight, actually.
What time is it at?
It's at 7:30.
And does it cost anything to attend?
We ask for a suggested donation of $5.
You'll take more.
We will take more. We will take all the money.
So I've got to ask you. So I don't think this is going to show up very well. You sent me this, and my first thought was, is this Auburn Pops for Snack, Crackle, or is it Arthur Fiedler and the Boston?
It's more on the Boston Pops, without the Boston.
Right.
And it's modeled after those kinds of concerts.
So they're very fun. I've been to a couple of them. They're very fun up in Boston. So what's on your playbill or your program for this week?
We have a couple of patriotic things. We have an American Salute, where we play the official songs of all 4 branches of the military, and the idea is that the people who are in those or have been in those stand up when their song is played, and it's a way to acknowledge the people who've been in the service.
So you've got Henry. You got a series of pieces by Henry Mancini.
Henry Mancini, Burt Bacharach. And I find that of people of a certain age, like mine, those things from the 60s resonate quite a bit. And not, I don't remember listening to them specifically, but I still know them.
So Peter Gunn, you got me there.
Okay.
But on the other end of the spectrum, I noticed you were also doing, and I noticed it's at the end. And this most likely is to keep the attention of anybody who's 12 or under.
Well, and actually, I try to do something that our high school students may have actually heard before. So,
and that is
that's
Frozen.
Frozen.
A series of Frozen.
Yeah,
so,
which is it's a great arrangement and it's great music. It's going to be and it has a great finish. That's why it's the end. So.
A concert like this, how often do you practice?
I'm trying to think. We may have had 6 rehearsals for this, including today, and then we have a dress rehearsal Thursday and the concert on Friday.
And the concert is how long?
It should be about an hour and a half altogether, including our intermission.
Okay. And any particular, do you pick the songs? Does the orchestra pick the songs? How do you come up with what's going to be on your program?
As the music director of this, I'm in charge of coming up with the pieces and putting them in the right order and getting a balance for that. I always take requests too, if possible.
So, are there any requests on this list?
I think that one of the orchestra members said we really ought to play something more of Henry Mancini. So,
okay.
So that's where that one came from. But it also has to be packaged, has to be arranged in a way that our orchestra can make sense of it.
And is there anything on here that you really have been dying to play for ever, or you played a couple of years ago and you wanted to do it again?
I don't think we've repeated anything here, but I think some of my favorites are the Burt Bacharach tunes. And
Shadow of Your is that a
no, that's
I see
Say a Little Prayer, Walk On By.
Okay, and I see you have
Alfie.
Simon and Garfunkel.
And the Simon and Garfunkel, I do a little research to figure out the background on this. It turns out that Simon and Garfunkel met in elementary school and started singing right after that. The story was that Paul Simon saw Art Garfunkel singing in a talent show when they were in like 5th grade, and Paul said, maybe that's a good way to get to attract girls. So he thought he was going to team up with him and get that going.
There's hope. You see, you just have to find.
I'll put that on my list of things to do.
So Burt Bacharach, you've got Alfie, Say a Little Prayer, Walk On By, and Close to You. And do you have? So I looked on your website. Do you have vocalists ever accompany you?
Sometimes we do. We had this last Christmas. We had a chorus. I kind of put a chorus together, and they rehearsed a little by themselves, and we had 2 pieces with orchestra and chorus. And that was fun. And also on the Christmas concert, we've had some vocalists in. Occasionally on the Broadway concerts, we had some.
I mentioned before we started, we talked a little bit about scholarships, and you have, but I noticed the scholarships on your forms. I knew several of the young people in the group. So do you have a lot of high school students who are?
We
are
do.
They a big component?
Yeah, mostly from Auburn, occasionally from Skaneateles. We had a couple of West Genesee kids that right after I retired, they kind of
Is that where you originally taught?
I
Okay.
taught there. So that works out well, and it gives them a chance to play in a different context, play with adults. And I think it's also great for them to see adults playing instruments, and adults that didn't necessarily go into music, but are still involved in playing. I think that gives them hope. We often, as teachers, music teachers, tell the kids that you don't have to stop after high school. You don't have to go into music in college in order to stay involved with your instrument. And so this is a proof of that.
And you do give some scholarships. Those are made by the board, I'm
Yep.
assuming?
Yeah.
And do you give them out annually?
Yeah, well, we do it to, if we have students that qualify, they have to have been in the orchestra for a long enough time. They have to
So they have to be
participate in
orchestra members?
Oh, yes, they
Okay.
are. They are. Scouts also set out to our players who have stuck with us for a while.
And are they of any particular amount?
I think it actually there's a new formula. It depends on how long they've been playing. It's more for 4 years than for 3.
When you had sent me some background information, one of the items that you had both talked about was that you do a lot of partnerships.
We've
with-
done quite a
with
few, and it's
organizations.
worked out very well.
So give us an example of what you're talking about.
Well, I think the first year I was here, we had a Broadway show, and I asked Ed Sales if he would come and introduce the pieces and maybe give a little background on
He was the
how
head
they.
of Merry-Go-Round Theater at the time.
Yeah, he was still the head at that point, and from that developed a really good relationship. We loaned them percussion equipment for their pit orchestras
For their summer
during,
season.
Yeah, during the summer season, and they let us use their theater for our first concert, as long as
okay.
they're not running a show at the same time. And through that, we've developed a relationship with the youth theater, and sometimes their actors will work with us as well.
Other collaborations?
We just had one for what we called a tribute to History's Hometown.
Okay.
And we held it at the Carriage Theater.
I think those are the photos I see on the website.
Yeah, that could
I
very
think
well be.
Pauline Coates Johnson.
Yes.
Right.
And we'll be talking
so,
about it
so
in
we
about
have
10 minutes
music.
about on the next show about.
We had music that was related to William Seward and Case and Harriet Tubman. And so had people from those different organizations come and speak a little bit before the music.
So your season ends this Friday. When
Correct.
will you start back up?
We'll start back up when the school year starts in September.
And how can somebody who has a musical background and hasn't heard about how to audition or get involved with you find out more?
On our website, there's a tab that says Musician Information, which is used both for me to tell the musicians that are there what's going on, but also there is an application that's in there that they can fill out and just send back online, and I'll get back in touch with them.
And I know you lost some string people last year because they all went to college.
They did, although one of them is going to OCC, so he's still playing with us. which is
Any
nice.
holes that you see coming up that you're looking
Or
is
we
anybody
always
you're
could
always
use
looking?
some good violinists and percussionists. Those are sort of what we're after.
So just remind us, you'll start back up in September,
Yeah.
and this show is again on Friday
Correct.
here at the college.
Here at the college, 7:30, guaranteed to be fun.
All right. We want to thank the Auburn Chamber Orchestra's conductor, Mr. Conductor FRANKENPHOL, as well as Joe Salzone, who's a member of their board of directors, for joining us to talk about the Pops concert this Friday here at the college. We'll be back in just a moment with a second Beyond the Front Page with Janie Hutchinson and Bonnie Blair of the Auburn Education Foundation to talk about their Hall of Distinction that occurs next month. On Tuesday, we'll be back with an update on this year's Auburn Enlarged School District proposed budget with Superintendent of Schools Jeff Perazzola and Business Manager Lisa Green, as well as Beyond the Front Page, show featuring the Owasco Watershed Association's Ken Kudla and Jim Beckwith, as well as their testing coordinator, Julie Lockhart. You can let us know of your thoughts for guests or ideas for questions. You can send them to cozguitho@aol.com or Inside Government or Beyond the Front Page at 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. I'm Guy Cosentino for CU Community College. We want to thank you for watching. Hope you have a good night. Stick around for a few more minutes for one very short Beyond the Front Page, but otherwise have a great tomorrow.